Hello there, my little GGs. On the wine tonight. Starting the weekend. It's a Friday night. So, although I did slip up and have some alcohol last night, but we don't talk about that one. And it's not Camden Ale or Camden wine. Shirt my wife got me for Christmas. Anyway, I digress. We're going Indo-Chinese tonight. In fact, we're sort of doing that tomorrow night as well. But anyway, tonight we're having Chicken Manchow Soup, which is sometimes known as just Manchow Soup. And this is from, well, actually, I think he's an Indian chef. But even though this is Indo-Chinese, is it Indo-Chinese? Or is that tomorrow night? No, it is. Yeah, this is Indo-Chinese. Anyway, this is Chef Alam, I think he's called. Okay, so you're going to want a wok or something similar. And it essentially is like a hot and spicy soup. I keep doing my bloody hands and waving again. So you're going to want some chicken, corn flour made up in some water, some mushrooms, shiitake would do, some carrot, some green beans, some cabbage, some garlic, a green chilli, coriander, some fresh ginger, which I now discovered I've used them all mine, so I'm using ground ginger, white pepper, salt, some vinegar, some sugar, and then this thing called aromat powder. And when he mentioned this, and it's in the next soup I'm going to do as well, I thought, yeah, chances of me getting that, Tesco sell it. And actually, I did have a little taste of it, and so I might cut back on the amount of salt that he puts in it, because I think it is essentially salt with other stuff in it. What's it say on there? Yeah, basically it's salt with other things. So he did put a lot of salt in the beginning. We won't necessarily put that much in, because when we add that, that's going to add salt. So anyway, Chicken Manchow Soup. Now, most of the ingredients essentially all want to be diced. So what I'm doing with this carrot, I've got sort of 1.5 sort of carrots here, is we're just going to dice this quite finely. Okay. We're going to do the same with the cabbage. We're going to do the same with the green chilli. The green chilli is a little bit sort of optional. Well, you need to put some chilli in it, but if you don't want too much chilli, that's fine. Okay, no one's going to have a go at you. And your chicken breast, he says use oh, I'm just double checking here, because I'm making another soup, like I said, tomorrow night, and it's very, very similar. And I'm just making sure that I don't confuse the two tonight. So he's saying have about half a chicken breast, a large chicken breast. We're going to put a little bit more than that in it, simply because what I've got, I'm going to either, if I don't use it up, I'll have to throw it away. So that'd be wasteful. So I'm just going to chop up this carrot into, like I say, fine dice, and then we'll move on and have a go at the cabbage. So there's the cabbage. He says about a cup of, you know, finely diced cabbage. Oh, I forgot to mention, you want some green beans as well. So he says about 5 green beans. I've got a few more than that here, simply because these were quite a lot longer than mine, but I don't think I'll bother with these. I said to the wife, I need a few green beans. Neither of us are really that partial to green beans. And when it turned up, they were frozen green beans. Hence the reason they're a bit soggy. And the bag about this big. It's like the days back in the, was it the lemons? When I asked for like 6 lemons and I got 6 bags of lemons. Cool, that was many years ago. I think that might have been back during lockdown. You might remember that one. Oh, these are a bit soggy, aren't they? So these also want to be sliced up thinly. And then I'm just going to do, I haven't got around to doing my chilli yet, but also I want to dice up these mushrooms. Now, he used a few dried shiitake mushrooms that he rehydrated and then chopped up. I've got a bit more than that, and I've got these button mushrooms. So I'm just going to chop these up into smaller bits. So anyway, Manchow soup. I told you it's an Indo-Chinese thing, and actually it's quite a popular, almost like a street type food. And you would think with a name like Manchow, it came from Manchuria. Well, I don't know why you think that, but apparently you do. People do. But it doesn't. It actually, this is going to be one. Meghalaya, or something like that. Okay. Is the region that this comes from. Essentially it's northeast India, and it's a state, and the word Meghalaya, or whatever it is, essentially means abode of the clouds. And it's because it gets the biggest rainfall of India. Quite a drink. For biologists and naturalists, the area actually is very sort of sought after, if you like, from what you get there. Anyway, I'm just going to carry on chopping these up, and then, like I say, I'm then just going to finely chop up one green chilli. I'm just going to leave the seeds in, but if you want the seeds out, that's up to you. My chilli's chopped. I've added some ground ginger. If you were using fresh ginger, you'd want about a tablespoon finely chopped up or minced or whatever. And then you want about the same amount of garlic, about a tablespoon. I'm probably doing a little bit extra than that, because you know me, I like me garlic. Whoop! And then, aside from the some coriander, which we put in at the end, which I need chopping up, the only final thing I need to actually do anything with is my chicken breast. And like I said, that needs to be diced up as well. So there's those bits done. So just need to get rid of this, get rid of some more of this. Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you. Actually, Meghalaya was formed in 1972. It was part of the Assam region, and it was sort of created out of that. And because of the rain and everything else, during the British sort of rule of India, so before 1972, so it officially became that in 1972, but prior to that, that region under British rule meant that it ended up being English is like the main language. But not only that, because it rained so hard all the time, they said it's like the Scotland of Britain, except this is Scotland of the East. So actually, by the time I sort of trimmed that, actually there's a bit I trimmed off, I trimmed that up. There's probably about one large breast there. He suggests you like butterfly just to get it thinner, and then you cut it into strips, and then you dice it, but this is quite thin anyway. So this is, like I say, all the ingredients you're going to need. Ooh, chicken stuck into me. Already told you about how wet that region is, where this sort of comes from. Although, let's go back to what I said about Manchuria. Although it's got nothing to do with that, the name is partly derived from the name Manchuria, even though God knows why, because it's got nothing to do with it anyway. But it has extensive forests. About 70% of the area is forested, and it is home to something like 660 species of bird. It's got plants, particularly it's very famous for the amount of orchids it's got. I don't know whether that means that's where most of your domestic orchids come from. I don't know. I don't know. Do the kind of orchids you buy to decorate your home with? To be honest, we got one, and you're so careful with orchids, and unfortunately it died. Well, I think it's dead. There are two stems, flowers on both. One stem, all the flowers suddenly just randomly dropped off. The other one was fine, and then suddenly randomly they went as well. The original stalk sort of dried up and went brown. The other one stayed green, so we thought, oh well, that's all right. It's obviously, although the flowers dropped off, it's obviously still healthy, but I think that one's had it now as well. Okay, so there is me wok, and I'll put that onto like a medium to high heat, and we just want to add some oil. Okay, I'm just using rapeseed oil, I think it is, yeah. Vegetable oil, you can use olive oil. Just bear in mind they wouldn't have had olive oil, and you want about 2 tablespoons of oil in there, and get that heating up. Oh, I mentioned about the orchids. I said you like 660 species of birds, 325 different species of orchid. A large number of mammals and insects. You get elephants. Well, most of what you'd expect, but it's also famous, that region, for Hulock. Is it Hulock gibbon? Yeah, the Hulock gibbon, which is found throughout that region, and also it's also famous for bats. Huge amount of bats. They've got lots of limestone caves, which brings me to Mexico, where I've recently come back from. So I am planning some Mexican dishes. Okay. At the minute I keep finding Tex-Mex. I'm trying to be a bit more authentic than that. Anyway, limestone caves. So in goes all that ginger. In this case, obviously the ground ginger, the garlic, and the chilies. And we're just going to stir fry that for a little bit. That oil perhaps wasn't quite hot enough yet, so I might give. Oh, there's a bit of garlic there that didn't get crushed up, that escaped from the what's name. Get that out. So we just want to stir fry that for a little bit. Yeah, so I was saying about Mexico, that lots of limestone caves, the cenotes, which is swam in the 3 of them. And we did find bats inside them. The limestone caves in Meghalaya, whatever it is, that's home to a lot of bats. And in fact, some of that region's rarest bats are found in that region, or rather, should I say, India's rarest bats are found in that region. And weirdly, in 2020, scientists investigating these areas, presumably these underground cave systems and everything else, which must be a little bit like some of the cenotes flooded. They found the largest known subterranean fish in Meghalaya. There you go. Right, so let's cook that for a little bit. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to add that chicken. Now, got to remember that's had raw chicken in that. What we want to do with the chicken, and this is where he says add a generous 2 pinches of salt. I'm just going to add a little bit of salt, okay, at this stage, because like I say, the aromat is essentially sort of flavoured salt, and we can always add more salt if you want to at the end anyway. So we're not necessarily trying to cook the chicken all through, but what we want to do, turn that off, annoying bugger, is we want it all white on all sides. Waving my hand about again. Get it white all over, and then we'll be ready to move on to the next bit. Because that region, I'm going to run out of things to tell you in a minute. We haven't even finished yet, have we? I mean, that prep did take a little while, but it is quite a quick and easy soup to make. Okay, once we start, you know, chucking everything in, it's not like something you've got to then shove in the oven and wait God knows how long. But because obviously a lot of it was all to do with the British, during the British Empire days, bearing in mind it's part of India, 75% of the population are Christians. The largest religious minority are the Hindus, and they make up about 11.5%. So obviously there's some other sort of religions in there. There's Muslims and whatever, but by far and away the biggest is Christian. There you go. I've exhausted my facts about Meghalaya and Manchow soup. So this just needs a little bit longer, but we're starting to get the outsides all done. Now my chicken's cooked, I'm adding water. Now, he said about 2 cups, but that wouldn't make an awful lot of soup. So I've looked at the size of my bowls, and essentially 2 cups is about enough for 1 bowl. Probably by the time you put everything else in it, it'd be a bit more than that, but just give you a little bit extra on it. So I've just put 4 cups. If you want to measure it out in meals or whatever, just look at how many bowls you want to make. I mean, this is the ingredients in here, although I've gone a little bit more overboard on the chicken, is for 2 servings. Okay, so I've got 2 bowls worth of liquid, 4 cups. Something to make me cough or better drink. So we now want to, I'm just turning that temperature up, because we now want to bring that to a boil. And then when we do so, we're going to be adding the mushrooms, the cabbage, the beans. Ooh, don't knock me wine over. And the carrot. Okay. Now, at the minute, obviously it's very runny, but that's why you're going to want some corn flour, because it is meant to be a bit thicker. And also, it's meant to have a bit of tang to it. So we will be adding some vinegar. Can't remember if I mentioned that one or not. A bit of sugar. And then, like I say, ground white pepper, some aromat, and perhaps a bit more salt, and then just to finish off some coriander. So we're just going to wait for that to come up and get it boiling. I've just taken that coriander, chuck it on the floor, why don't you? I've just taken the big stalks off, if you like, and I'm just going to chop this up And like I say, this goes at the end. Now, I suddenly remembered there is another ingredient I forgot all about. Oh, this knife must be sharp. When I go along the grain, it's actually sticking in the grain. What I should have mentioned is we will need 1 beaten egg. So it's a bit like an egg drop soup, Chinese egg drop soup. We'll be putting that in right near the end. So I've got my egg out. Yeah, so there you go. That's the coriander chopped, and there's my mine, and that's just starting to boil. Okay, that's boiling. So in goes my mushroom, green beans, my carrot, and my cabbage. And now we just want to mix all that in and bring that to the boil. Okay, so at this stage obviously we want to get the veg sort of cooked, if you like. Once these is boiling away, we'll turn the heat down, and then we're going to be wanting to add the soy sauce. Did I mention soy sauce? Well, I have now. Vinegar. Is that chili? I bet that is. Some soy sauce. I'm using white wine vinegar. It doesn't really matter what vinegar you use. Actually, tomorrow's recipe, which is very similar to this, his recipe, and it's by the same chef again. He says use vinegar, but traditionally they would have used lemon juice. So I'm presuming, probably, traditionally, they may well have used lemons in this. But anyway, so we've got soy sauce, light soy sauce, some white wine vinegar, and then the pepper, some sugar. Actually, we had the pepper and sugar first. And then and the aromat, yeah, and then we add them two. Okay, but in the minute we're just still waiting on that just to get a nice boil on that. I'm going to add a generous teaspoon of sugar. Actually, I might add 2. And then let's top one of that. I'm going to add. I was going to shake that, and I thought I don't know what'll happen. Wife did that once in France. That's another story. About half a teaspoon of white pepper, ground white pepper, and then there's this aromat stuff. Don't seem to be able to take the top off of that very easily, so I might have to just shake that. With that one, we want a teaspoon of that. That'd be interesting to see how that goes. Actually, given this is brand new, it seems a little bit like it's just gonna add a little bit more. Remember, I didn't add an awful lot of salt at the beginning. Apparently, if you read what it says on here, you could use this like a table condiment. But anyway, we're not. So now, just want to stir that through and let that boil for a little bit longer. And then we want to add, annoying thing, a teaspoon of soy sauce. So not an awful lot of that. And then we want to add 2 tablespoons of the vinegar. We want to have a little bit of a zing to this. And now we're just going to mix that in. And then we're just going to let that boil for about another minute. Right, that's come back to the boil. So I've got about a teaspoon and, well, perhaps 2 of water. I want it nice and runny. And I'm going to add about half of that at the moment. Okay, and we're just going to stir that in. So you still want that on the lowish heat. We want it thicker. It's very, very runny at the moment. But how thick you want it is up to you. Okay. But obviously we need to let this cook through a little bit. And then all we got left, although we haven't got any wine left, I have to steal some of the wines. Just drinking a rosé. Keep that one quiet. All we got left to do is put the egg in it and the coriander. Right, so that's that in there. I need to just keep stirring this until that's cooked through, sort of comes back to the boil. And what we'll also do at that point is we'll just taste it. If we want to add some more salt, that's when we'll add more salt, just before we add the egg. Right, I've just had a little taster. I don't think I'll add any more salt. That chilli is now starting to come out of it. I can sort of get a bit of the ginger, but the chilli now is, I wouldn't say dominating. It's dominating over the ginger anyway. So I've just beaten up that egg, and perhaps I'll turn that a bit low. Just turn that up a little bit. And what we're going to do now is just going to drizzle that egg into that boiling soup, as it were, even though it don't look like it's boiling very much. Okay, so a bit like the Chinese egg drop soup. And I'm now just going to gently stir that through. And this is where you're now going to want your bowls. So you can see now the egg's starting to cook. I think you can. It's sort of coming to the surface a little bit. And we'll add the coriander into the bowls directly. Okay. So I'm just going to swap that over for a ladle. Where's my ladle? There's my ladle. Oh, excuse me. Oh, it must be the wife. Shh, don't mention it. Must be that wine. Give me gas. Don't know why. It's not sparkling. But it must be something to do with the wife. So, turn the heat off and serve the bugger up. So that's it in the bowls, a little bit left over. Like I said, at the end of the day, although to be honest, I filled that about as much as when I worked out the water, and I did think to myself, actually, but then, you know, it's going to be a bit more than that. But ultimately, we just got a few more spoonfuls left. So there we go. There is our Chicken Manchow Soup. Okay, now it's a bit bloody hot, but let's give it a taster. So I think I've got a bit of everything here. I can see carrot, I can see coriander, I can see cabbage, I can see chicken. Oh, I think I can see a bit of mushroom. So I've got everything in there. You're getting the tang of the vinegar, but it's not overpowering it. And bear in mind, I didn't put any chicken broth in this, but you do get the chicken flavour through, and a bit of mushroom, really, to be honest. And that heat I was talking about from the chilli, that seems to have subsided a bit. Oh no, it ain't. Come through in that mouthful. But there you go. A nice, good, sort of solid, quick and easy. Well, not if you follow me, because I drag things out, don't I? But there you go. Chicken Manchow Soup.